so you get the idea that you're going to go about it the way you're going to go about it. You're going to have different versions of the character, different aspects of the man and the work. How did you go about deciding, okay, it's going to be these aspects, and I'm going to have it coalesce into, 5 characters, 6 characters, 7 characters?
Mm-hmm.
Because I love what the result is.
Yeah.
I love the 6 characters. I think I get what the 6 characters are supposed to do, but how did you go about deciding on that?
Yeah, it's a good question. In fact, I actually have a hard time exactly remembering how these 7 sort of psyches of Dylan, played by the 6 actors, Christian Bale kind of being a 2-for-1 character in the film.
I was suddenly terrified I forgot one, but
no. And they kind of came into place fairly quickly for me. And I can't remember there was one additional character at the very beginning when I first presented the concept to Dylan via his manager, Jeff, which was this character, Charlie, who was sort of going to be a one-off piece, kind of unraveling from one of Woody's tall tales. It was just going to be a little silent mini movie, silent screen style. Dylan was always being described as Chaplin-esque when he first had his performances in New York. He had this amazing kind of natural comic timing and this kind of innocent it looked like he didn't know what he was doing, but he was fully aware of what he was doing. But he'd do these little routines with his guitar, and his cap would fall off, and he'd reach down for it, and he'd pick it up again. And then he'd go into these talking blues numbers that had this droll wit to them. And I wanted to put that in the film, and it finally went away, but kind of remains as that moment where Woody reappears in the Billy story dressed as Chaplin. But for the most part, they presented themselves fairly quickly to me, without a whole lot of internal debate going on. And what I realized when I sort of settled on them was that they all had their roots, in my mind, in the 60s era for Dylan. And there's some deviations from that, like the Christian character, the Pastor John character. But since I had sort of twined him up with Jack Rollins, and I felt that made sense, that there had to be some limits imposed on this potentially unwieldy structure. And rooting it in the 60s made sense to me. Even if Dylan continued to grow and expand and continued to do amazing work from that era, in ways I felt he was still going back to some of these roots and sort of different combinations of them in the work that continued over the years. And that with that concept and with those parameters, it also presented me with what the stylistic references in the film should be, which in my mind should be from the 60s, the cinema of the 60s, and the visual iconography of that amazingly dense and rich period of film and of history.